Welcome to BoomCast. I'm your host, Sam. In this episode, we are going to meet a very special guest, Rebecca Song, or Pyro Rebecca if you're friends with her on Facebook. Rebecca has been in the industry since 2010, and over the years, she's become one of the most trusted sources in the business on the Chinese side. I met Rebecca in 2018 when I traveled with 76 to visit some suppliers in China, and since then I've come to regard her as not only a source for some of the highest quality fireworks, but also for comprehensive and timely communication, which I can't tell you how invaluable that is for fireworks importers to have someone you can trust in the Chinese industry. So today, we're going to hear from Rebecca and get her story on how she got to where she is now with her new company and her awesome new brand, Space Ranger Fireworks. Stick with us to the end for some updates from Spirit of 76. Now, this interview with Rebecca was actually recorded way earlier in the spring of this year as part of our Women in Pyro project, and I am so glad to be able to finally share it with you now. That's fascinating how you totally just rose the ranks in not a very long amount of time, and you had no family connection or anything. You just started right after college. So that's honestly really impressive. Hello, we're speaking with Rebecca Song, aka Pyro Rebecca, coming to us from China. Hello, hi Rebecca.
Hi, Sam. This is Rebecca from Liuyang. Hello, Pyro folks.
And you'll have to excuse, we have a little bit of a sickness going on, don't we?
Yeah, forgive me. It's last minute. I got this sore throat. I sound man sounding, right?
It's totally okay. It's good to see you. It's good to see you. You look great. And I love to see like the little bit of the new office that you're in. Where are you? Are you in Liuyang right now?
Yeah, I'm in Liuyang.
Okay, great.
The tea room of my new office. So tea room is like a must-have for treat the factory owners. This is the way, like when you have visitors, when you have guests, usually drink tea with your customers, with your friends at the tea room. That's Chinese tradition. It's like
Awesome.
You take your customers to bars, I guess.
Yeah, we have beer. You guys have tea. I just have my water, but drinking tea with you in spirit. I just wanted to start this out by saying I think that a lot of people in the industry are familiar with you and know you. You're one of like most widely known and trusted sources in the supplier realm in China, right? At least from a US market perspective. I know everyone at Spirit knows you. Everyone, like most of the wholesalers know of you. Can you tell me briefly like what your involvement is in the world of pyro right now? You just started a new company.
Yes. Well, I'm a veteran in the fireworks industry. I've been working in the industry since 2010, so 14 years already. But my company is pretty new. I started Line Tech last April, so it's not even 1 year old, almost 1 year old now. Yeah, no, exciting, right? Yeah,
Yes.
this is a pretty small industry. Like everybody knows everybody. So when you work in the industry for over 10 years, you know almost all the people. But I feel it's a very helpful and grateful. And one of the most important factors for me to start a new business. It's good. It's like a family, like very closely related industry, no matter it's US or China, like or the wholesalers or the Chinese factories. We know we've been working together for many years. So yeah, it's a new business, new start, new adventure with old friends.
Yeah, that's very true. The industry is very close knit. I think you've been positioned kind of as like a very good liaison between the US market and the Chinese market. And so in Lion Tech right now, yeah, you guys are based in Liuyang. What other markets do you service besides the US market?
Well, right now it's only the US market. That's what I want to
Okay.
focus. Yeah.
Great. More for us. Yeah. No, we love the
Yeah.
products. I want to know how you got your start in fireworks because what, 2010, that was a little bit ago. What was your educational or like professional background before fireworks?
Well, I started working at fireworks right after college. Well, I think it's a fate of destiny. I majored in English. I was trained as an interpreter. So I was very interested. I've always been very interested in American culture and Western culture and foreign trade business. And then in 2010, I think that's when 2 years after the Beijing Olympics, a lot of people know that Panda did the fireworks show for Beijing Olympics. And at that time, they won the bid for London Olympics as well. And they just want to hire good English speaking person to help them do the communication and some presentation and things like that. I think Panda, they came to my college and just post like a job and I think several of my classmates went to that interview, but finally I got selected and got started with it. And then my first project was at the Guangzhou Asian Games, which was held 2010 November. So I was trained for the display side of the business. And then we did go around the world, bid for different projects, including London Olympics. We were one of the 5 companies, or the only Chinese companies going there bidding for it. And they're like in Middle East, Africa, in Southeast Asia, Central Asia. We went to a lot of countries bidding for displays, shooting at festivals. So it was very fun start that you got to travel to so many countries and deal with the governments mainly. Sometimes you do get your hand dirty and setting up some shows. It's very fun time. I enjoyed the first few years with the display part of the business.
Wow.
That's how I
So you
started.
kind of, yeah, you joined on basically as an interpreter. And then towards the end of your tenure at Panda, what was your role?
I only worked at the display part of business for 10 years, for 3 years, and then in 2013 I got moved to the exporting part of business. I was in charge of Winda when I first came on board for the exporting part. And then 2015, I think I took charge of all the sales part. So you, all the markets, not just US, but Europe and Southeast Asia, Southeast Africa. So all the sales department. From 2015 till 2023 till last year. So for the last 8 years, I was the general manager of Panda Fireworks. So Panda Fireworks is the mother company of Winda, Brightstar, Wizard, and Panda Fireworks for the European market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
So I was
honestly just like,
basically running the company. Yeah.
yeah, you were.
2012, I got like a $10 million project for Panda. So I think that's the biggest ever deal they ever got. And they made a lot of money too. And then
Yeah.
2013, I think like Mark Wu and a few other people leave. So I think it's a fate or destiny. But at that time, I see the most proper person for that position. So it's kind of timing.
That's
Yeah.
fascinating how you totally just rose the ranks in not a very long amount of time and you had no family connection or anything. You just started right after college. So that's honestly really impressive. Did you have any mentors that helped you kind of get to that point?
My mentor, I was my boss Jackson. He's definitely helped me enter and grow and give me the opportunity running a big department and then running a full company. When I was still very young, he definitely saw the potential in me, which I didn't even see myself. But so he's definitely the biggest support and helper, and that who makes everything possible, gives me a big platform to run in a company. And a lot of people
Yeah.
like the older generation fireworks owners, they all know Jackson, Action Jackson. He started Panda and then built a company and trained a lot of business owners in this industry. Yeah, he's definitely my mentor. I'm very grateful for the opportunity and the faith in me he gave me.
That's just crazy to hear that within like 2 years of being in the company, you were like facilitating multi-million-dollar deals on such a high level I'm sure you were like very early 20s. That's just impressive for anyone. What are some of your key takeaways that you've taken from that whole experience?
Well, just be brave. I think one the best thing about being young is that you're very brave. You're basically not afraid of anything. So that project, it's in Africa. It's Algeria. So they were in 2012. They were celebrating their 50th Independence Day, and they're shooting 50 shows in one night in all their 48 provinces. So it's a huge project, and you have to stay in Africa. I stayed in Africa for like half a year. Most of the time, I was there by myself. And so you're dealing with ministries and very high level people. And well, with self-display project, you are dealing with different, like military, their culture, their veterans ministry, different ministries. It's complicated. And you're young, but you represent Panda, of course. It's a well-known company. Just after the Beijing Olympics, you have a very good platform. But at the same time, you just like feel very you have to be very brave and confident and just don't think, okay, you're young, you're a woman, so you feel like not confident dealing with these people, but just be fearless and then they will respect you and we will maintain good relationship after all these years. Yeah, so just forget about your age, your gender, just do your work. At the end of all the deals, it's about your service, your product, your price. And it's at the end, it's no matter you're a man or woman or young or old, it's about that. If you can deliver, if you have a team to deliver, you can get it. Just you can feel very confident about it.
Yeah. Be brave, be fierce. Great advice. I think you've immersed yourself in several different cultures, not just the US culture, but that one as well. Let's talk about kind of you deciding to start Lion Tech. What led to that decision?
Well, it's a very complicated story, but there's a major change with Panda. And it's not an easy decision, but finally I decided it was time for me to move on. Um, yeah, I think I made the right decision.
I would agree with
It's a
that.
common,
I think
yeah.
I see what you are doing and what you've accomplished so far in almost a year with Lion Tech, with Space Ranger. I think it's a beautiful company and you have very, very strong roots already in the industry and you're going to do amazing and already are doing amazing with all the connections you've already made. Um, so yeah, well, let's go back because you were saying some really great things about just like, who you are in this industry and believing in yourself despite being super young, despite maybe, this is a male dominated industry, despite that fact. I kind of want to ask like why you think it's a male dominated industry in the first place.
Well, I think most of the owners are males, from
Yeah, that's true.
manufacturing to trading companies to US wholesalers, retailers. But there are a lot of women working in this industry. But from the owning perspective, leading perspective, there are definitely more men than women.
It's mostly men that
Yeah,
decide to start their own company, even
yeah.
though obviously women are capable of it. You're doing an amazing job with what you're doing. And most of the Chinese businesses are still owned and operated by men mostly.
Yeah, mostly, but we see more and more women are
Yeah.
leading companies and factories, actually. We see more and more women are starting new fireworks businesses or taking from their parents. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Which factories and the factories that you work with for Lion Tech, are any of them women owned?
Yeah, now I have been working with over 40 factories. At least over 10 of them are owned or led by women. So like the biggest woman-led fireworks factory. Everyone knows we know Snow Cone. That
Mhm.
factory is a big factory. It's led by a woman, and she started it. It's a huge factory. Now they expand one factory to two. It's one of the biggest factories in meaning they make amazing fountains, like winter snow cone and koi pond fish and a lot of other amazing fountains. And also, she started a huge cake factory a few years back, and it's doing very good in China. She's been very active on TikTok. China TikTok is
Yeah.
lots of followers sharing her experience, how she managed the factories. She inspired a lot of women business owners in this industry.
Yeah, I bet. That's
Yeah.
really refreshing to hear as well that you're seeing and you're working with 10 factories now that are woman owned out of like the 40 that you're working with. That's so cool. I kind of wanted to know in
Mm.
regards to, being a woman in this industry, do you think that obviously whenever you started out, you felt like you knew you had to be brave because you knew that you were young, a woman. Do you think that you faced very many barriers when you first started out, given your age and gender? And obviously some of those barriers are coming down now, but do you think that maybe you were looked at or treated a certain way at first before people knew what you were capable of?
Well, now if you I reflect, like when I first started in the industry, I was at the with the display part of business. I think it's even more challenging to let people trust you. We're dealing with governments and government officials. For example, the Asian Games or the you bid for London Olympics, even the Olympics committee. Um, they are very experienced people, and also you feel certainly they're like the very high level people, and you're young, not experienced, and they have doubts too. That's normal. I mean, if you're young, they have doubts. It's natural.
It's just knowing what you have inside and not letting yourself be intimidated and then getting the job done. And obviously, you did that very well. Were there any specific moments where you noticed that difference, or like, was there like a positive or negative, anything in how you were treated?
When I was trying to close the deal for the Algeria project, when we were almost signing the contract, I remember at the ministry, I'm one person representing Panda, and there's like over 10 government officials, different ministers, and we were talking about prices and the terms, and it just this one man say, "Your boss should be here talking with us, not you.
Mm.
Like we are giving such a big project to Panda, and they are sending you as the representative, and you're like, then you are not enough for this deal."
Hmm.
At that moment, you feel like you're kind of intimidated, and the inner part of you feels like you almost agree with them. you know,
Right, like, well, I am
yeah,
here. I am
yeah,
representing
yeah,
Panda. Here I
yeah,
am.
yeah, yeah. But you don't have a choice. Well, Jean,
Right.
your boss is like thousands of miles away,
Yeah, and
so
you've been there. You've just immersed yourself in this culture and you've been there for half a year and you're fresh, kind of still fresh into the company. And you're like, this is the real deal. We're doing this.
yeah. But after a couple of months, and really, when they start knowing you, you can be trusted, and you're very organized. Then they start trusting you. Yeah, there were definitely moments.
Yeah, I hope you
Yeah,
don't come across many of those moments anymore, as you have definitely established yourself in the business, in the
yeah.
industry. So there's no room for underestimating you anymore.
Yeah, when I start this new company, yes, you got all the people connections, experience, a lot of trust and faith, um, but still it's challenging to
Oh yeah.
it's different to start a business. I still felt some uncertainty, stress, and it's easy to underestimate the difficulties or challenges starting a new business because of the experience you have. But
Sure.
also, if I look back 1 year ago, don't underestimate your potential as well. So yes, there are a lot of challenges. It's not easy, um, but you can do it.
What's one big challenge that maybe you're still even tackling, but one big challenge that you've faced just starting this new business, this new venture?
There were lots of challenges.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's there's got to
Yeah,
be a million
yeah,
challenges.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, I would say it was not an easy year to start a fireworks exporting business last year because the market demand was low. A lot of
Yes.
people have lots of stock, and the supply side, the factories are focusing on Chinese market. So the
Mm.
supply situation and the market situation makes it really hard. And also my experience, because I was running Panda, it was like 50 employees when I was running it, and it's a very well established team and procedures brand. And it's also 1,000 container business. So when I started my own, I sort of, I do the way I know it. So I rent a big
Mm.
office and well, like we have 10 people now. So it's a pretty big team for a startup trading company. And I'm trying to figure out like how a startup should operate. Like,
Right.
the expense is pretty high and I have to grow very quickly to make it work. So I'm using a running bigger company philosophy or methods to run a small startup. Trying to find a balance there. Yeah, but the
Right. And
biggest challenge was the supply chain, I think, still.
yeah, I'm sure it will just continue to be, the supply chain's always going to be a challenge
Yeah.
just because, and it's so interesting to see like this is, the general theme of the fireworks industry, the business, and really anything that US imports from China is that whenever we're having an up year, a really good year, that may mean that you on the supply side are having, like a low year or you're ramping up for the next high year. And it's just like we're on different like wavelengths sometimes. So it's just fascinating how the whole thing works. I'm honestly fascinated about the exporting because that hasn't been anything that I've dealt with. How difficult is that to figure all that out? Obviously, you had your experience from when you were working with Panda, but figuring that all out for a brand new company, how much of a nightmare is that? That bad, huh?
Yeah, yeah, because yeah, I have the experience, but in Panda, we had like 50 people, so you have people doing each small part of the very long process,
Yeah, and so
and
now you're
you
taking it
you
on,
don't
just like the
feel,
whole thing.
yeah, yeah, the whole thing, from placing order to the factory to completion. Then we figured out there were like 13 steps, and the 13 steps is not entirely internal. Like you have to work with factories, you have to work with CIQ, the customs, you have to work with Huayang, you have to work with FSL, third part testing. There's so many coordination to finish these 13 steps. And that's only the first part. And then for the exporting part, there are a lot of other steps as well, another 13 as well.
No.
And it's not entirely internally. I shipped the first 10 containers by myself. I did everything. It's definitely new experience or learning experience to do all the details by yourself again. Um, so that's very fun. But after you ship the first 10 containers, then you figured out what are the procedures. You establish the procedures, have an SOP for each procedure, and have the right person for it. And then now they can do their own job. Do it, establish the procedure, and give it to somebody else.
That was probably the majority of your last year, wasn't it? Just like
Yeah.
dealing with that. Oh, that's huge. It sounds exhausting, but I'm glad it sounds like you've got it figured out now and have people in place, even though 10 people sounds, maybe it's a lot for a startup, but it does not sound like a lot. And it just sounds like you guys are doing a lot of work with a relatively small team. So I definitely believe in you. I believe in the company, and I'm expecting really great things from you guys. Obviously, you're relying on a lot of your previous knowledge. Is there any other support or networking groups or anything like that that have really helped you in your journey?
Well, I received tremendous support from all sectors. Well, my biggest support is from 76, customer support, and the most important support. I
Yeah.
feel like I inherited the network and relationships I built when I was working for Panda. But most importantly, I really appreciate the trust and the faith 76 John Beck told, especially in person, he gave to me. That's enormous. I think that's the most valuable support that I receive. And of course, I have the support from many other customers and also the factories. At the supply situation last year, when they have more than enough orders to finish, they pick customers. Like the domestic market, they pay in cash. They have much bigger orders, but they work with me and they take care of me, giving me samples, giving me terms, help me grow this business and make a decent deliver before the Chinese New Year. So I'm overwhelmed by the amount of support from different sectors, home and abroad. As for networks, as I said, it's a very close-knitted industry, American
Mhm.
side or China side. So if you work in the industry for the U.S. market for over 10 years, you basically have the relationships with factories, with governments, with. But for China side, I think it's more about the years you put in the industry.
And you had mentioned like you get a lot of support from, the wholesalers who are your customers. What kinds of support do you value most? Is it like feedback and suggestions for, like how to build your product line? Is it just being flexible with the supply chain? And kind of tell me about like your relationship with customers and what you appreciate from wholesalers.
Of course, for exporting business, there's private labels and there's my own Space Ranger label. For the private labels, I think communication is the most important thing, like in a timely manner and in an organized manner. All the details have to be given from wholesalers to an exporting company. At the same time, an exporting company have to execute these ideas and give my own feedbacks. So I think a very smooth communication is the key.
Yeah.
That's for the private label business. For my own Space Ranger line, or for any Chinese brand, is I think fireworks is very, especially consumer fireworks, is very like culture thing.
Mm.
For a Chinese, it's not easy to come up with good names or like artworks. Yeah, I get very, very helpful insights from some retailers.
Right.
Definitely, the communication, like what products sell, what labels sell, what price point to sell, just know the market. That's the beginning of a successful product. There's a saying, don't build your car with your doors closed. So you first talk with your customers and then just do the work. It will be much more efficient.
For
I think
sure.
communication details. Yeah.
That makes sense. And the markets are so different, right? Because you don't have the opportunity to completely immerse yourself in American in the American market, the American culture all year round because of where you are right now. So I imagine that the feedback that you get from, your American customers is very helpful for you when you're thinking of like product names and designs. What's a major difference between Chinese and American like consumer fireworks markets?
Oh, it's a huge difference. First, the regulation is different. Like sometimes the opposite. Like American market, the 500-gram cakes, you need that separation. In Chinese law, that's illegal. No separation is allowed.
Really?
American markets, you limit the total powder weight, like 500 grams. Chinese market, it's for consumer, it's 1,200 grams. But U.S. market, you allow for like 3-inch racks. By Chinese market, maximum for consumer is 30 millimeter. That's 1.2 inch.
Oh, yeah.
So the regulation is very different, and also the distribution regulation is different. Like China, the U.S. market is much more freedom. Like it's easy for you to open a retail or import consumer fireworks. It's easy to store fireworks. In consumer fireworks, not much regulation. But in China, like consumer fireworks, to be a wholesaler, there's very strict license procedures and very expensive ones. For the retail as well, it's not a free market. You have to have special license, and the license is hard to get. And for storage, for warehouse, the Chinese regulation is much more strict. The warehouse, each warehouse can only be 1,000 square meter. So it's a much stricter regulation. The volume is much bigger. The Chinese market volume, I think it's 10 times as big as the global fireworks market combined, not just US
Wow.
market. So it's if the US market, I think it would be 20 times as big because the US market approximately is 50% of the global market. So it's a huge market. For a single item, easily they can order 5,000 cases, easy. And there's not much quality control or third-party testing involved for Chinese market, so there's much less hassle for
Gotcha.
factories. For factories, it's much easier for them to organize production.
Oh, in the Chinese market, you guys use a lot more fireworks. Is that because it's just used more for holidays, celebrations year round versus like where the US, we have, the 4th of July and some other holidays for fireworks. But is it just more ingrained in Chinese culture to use fireworks more often?
Yes, that's definitely one of the factors. Yes, we do use fireworks much more often compared with, say, U.S. customers, U.S. consumers. We use fireworks from a person's birth to a death. First of all, Chinese New Year, of course, is the most important time for usage of fireworks. But we don't shoot one night. Not just New Year's Eve. The Chinese New Year is over half a month celebration. So you can shoot fireworks each day during the Chinese New Year time. So in some places, they shoot it for a month, over a month.
Wow.
So yeah, and then we have a 1.4 billion population.
Mhm.
That's almost, I think, 4 times as big as the US. So the population is also much bigger.
Yeah.
And
So
we use
you,
it, so we celebrate the new year longer. And then we use it for business opening, for a baby born. And then we
Mhm.
have for wedding, for funeral, uh, for tomb sweeping, uh, for the lunar for like the Western New Year. There's so many different days you use fireworks to celebrate or to be auspicious.
Yeah, I really wish the US would incorporate fireworks into our funerals. That honestly just sounds like it would be not only like a lot of fun for the attendees, but also just like a good way, as if the person I suppose liked fireworks, but a good way to send them off. I like that. I like that idea of just using it for pretty much any occasion, even in small doses and not just one night. Tell me a little bit about the Chinese New Year. I know you guys just stopped celebrating it. You were able to spend a little bit of time with your family, but I imagine you also participated in like the festival and the celebrations. What are some really cool stuff? What's some stuff that you saw that you just thought was really cool with fireworks?
Well, I have two girls. My older one is 9 years old. She loves fireworks. So I don't purchase from the market. Of course, I purchase from factory.
You've got a good
Yeah,
source. You've got some good sources for fireworks.
yeah. There's a lot of cool stuff. And then every New Year, my friends, my families, make sure you bring some fireworks from Liuyang. So every New Year, I would just drive from Liuyang to Guangzhou carrying the fireworks, and do not be stopped by police.
Oh my goodness. Just a little
Yeah,
undercover. Just taking
yeah.
no, don't worry. I made the
Mhm.
fireworks. I sourced them myself. Because they're so
Yeah. And I think they love exporting fireworks. I think compared with Chinese products, the US products are more like different, innovative. The Chinese products are more like industrials. They would love to shoot some like, consumers. They would love to shoot some exporting products. I see some domestic brands. They intentionally use like English
Yeah.
label for selling their products.
Yeah, just because it's kind of novel. It's kind of new to see just like a glimpse of the other culture. Whenever our team members get to visit China or any of the factory suppliers over there, and just to see, to get a glimpse of your fireworks culture, it's just so unique to us that we're like, oh my, I would be like crazy about that and have it like as a souvenir and want to shoot it and see what it does, just because it's a whole new world to us.
The Chinese market product is sometimes can be like huge, like much bigger powder weight makes it a very like compared with U.S. consumer fireworks is you're gonna be wowed. It's like the
Yeah.
firecrackers. We call it like a red carpet. After you shoot firecrackers, for bringing the new year, it's a must have. Then the best firecracker would have a red carpet all over your yard. It has to be like cover all. One firecracker roll have to do that. And it has to be really bright red. Yeah, that's the tradition. And then there's this huge like, fireworks. You have to 1,888. Eight is a lucky number for Chinese. Shot. A
Ah,
1,888 shot big fireworks. You need two people, two strong men carrying it, and then it shoots like 3 4 minutes. Costs like $1,000 to purchase
oh
one.
my gosh.
Yeah, it's popular. It was hard to get on
Yeah, that would
TikTok.
be something crazy to see. Yeah, I'll have to go find videos of that. I'm sure I've seen it and been like, what on earth is that? It just looks like a monstrosity.
Yeah.
Wow. Um, let's see. I know. Okay, so we're coming up on our time here. I don't want to keep you too
Mm,
long, but I'm just so intrigued. I
mm.
want to know where you see yourself, personally, but also maybe Lion Tech, where you see yourself in 5 years.
In 5 years.
Mhm.
Well, there are lots of changes going on with the fabrics industry here in China. One of the most important change would be machinization. In the Chinese market, you see it already with smaller products like fountains. A lot of sparklers, a lot of products are being machinized. Now, even cakes, if the cakes without separation can be machinized to a large part now. And the big fireworks companies are buying out smaller factories. Now you have Fireworks Group owning 20, 30 factories. You can see this industrialization of the fireworks industry, which is worrying because right now the fireworks industry are creating like 500,000 jobs for the four counties. But machinization will change a lot of things, and but luckily for U.S. market, because your regulation, because the way it's made, the cakes, you have separation. You love versatile choreography, different calibers, different designs, different products in the same, different effects in the same product. It is hard to machinize. That's good. So in 5 years' time, I think I will still be focused on mainly U.S. market. Also, in 5 years' time, I hope I can be one of the biggest exporting companies from China to the U.S. market. I hope in 5 years' time, maybe like 1,000 containers.
Yeah, I think you can do it.
Yeah.
I fully believe in you and I believe in Lion Tech. That is also
Thank you.
really interesting to hear because you make a great point about, factories going more towards machine built fireworks and how that really does have a huge detriment on your workforce and the jobs available. And it is just such a deeply rooted tradition and career for so many generations of individuals over there. And so that's just interesting to hear that, like, the US market, just the way that the regulations have made the products and require the products to be made, that it actually requires more human touch, like physical, requires more people to actually be building that. And so that, in turn creates more job security for those factory workers. That's interesting. I haven't been to China since 2018, the one time I went there, and it may have even been the first time I met you. I'm not sure. That was really cool to see too, because you were just killing it at Panda at Winda, and you were showing us all the factories. And I remember thinking like, wow, because over here in the US, sometimes we tune this out where it's like, oh, these are factory made, man made. We don't really want to think about the working conditions in China. But whenever I was there, and of course, I have very, very limited knowledge of the factories, just what I had seen, but I was surprised because I was like, honestly, this is not nearly as this is not bad. This is not what I had expected as far as like a factory. You get this nightmarish thought of like sweatshops, and it's like it's not like that. The people were they were comfortable. Some of them were like watching Netflix on their phones while they were making things with their hands, and it was fascinating to see it. And so
Yeah.
there's an artistry there as well too. And just the way that things are made there is just interesting. So that's pretty cool to hear that the US market and the products that we get do require man-made materials and
Yeah.
man-made processes to create those effects. So I'm glad that you're going to be sticking with the US market. We appreciate it. We benefit from it. Do you have any advice, any additional advice than you've already given to the next generation of female business leaders, business owners, and female leaders in the fireworks industry?
I very agree with. I saw your post with your interview. I saw your interview with Stacy. I
Oh yeah,
very much agreed with her that you do it in a scared way. I think
yeah,
women, I don't know, DNA or whatever way, like women are there are a lot of strengths women have, like we are more detail oriented, we are very loyal, and we treat our customers very well and treat people very well, we're kind, we're trustworthy. If there's one like disadvantage, I would say is that we were worried about too much things. We were kind of like, especially when you start up business, and like we need some courage to
mhm,
do certain things. But actually, the business world is about your product, your service, your price. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. Just do it. It might be scared, but it's samely scared for men as well. So after I started up this business, a lot of friends give me advice. Their own, like mostly men, they started their own. No matter it's fabrics factories, printing factories, or importers, retailers. Mostly men, they experienced the same thing. They went through the same uncertainty, pressure, fear. It's the same. So don't be scared. If men can do it, women can do it. If you have the knowledge, if you have the resources, you can do it. It won't be harder because you're a woman.
Sure. And yeah, like you and Stacy said, just even if you are scared, because it can be scary, it's scary for everyone, just do it anyway.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And you're totally right. We do worry. I am guilty of that. I worry all the time. I'm like, oh my gosh, whether it's like if I'm, doing the right thing, following the right path, or if I'm going to, succeed. But you're right. It's just taking that chance, being brave and trusting that you're providing the best service that you absolutely can. And you're going to figure it out along the way, and you're going to do your work and get educated and all of those things as well.
I think that men are scared too. It's the same.
Yes. Everyone's scared to start a business and to be a leader. It like you said, it just takes a lot of courage and a lot of bravery, and it's completely possible. You're doing it. You're doing an amazing job. This has been great. I thank you so much again for coming on and talking with me.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
I want to congratulate you again on Lion Tech and Space Ranger. I also absolutely love the Space Ranger logo. That is so cute. I want that. You and your team are doing great. And I know that everyone at Spirit thinks very highly of you. Of course, John Bechtel thinks very highly of you. He trusts you. You've gained his trust for years now. And so we believe in you. And we absolutely are so excited to see what you're going to be doing in the next 5 years, becoming one of the top suppliers in the entire industry.
Thank you. Trust is priceless. It's the most important thing.
All right, that concludes my chat with Rebecca from earlier this year, spring 2024. It's always a pleasure to speak with her and to pick her brain on what's going on in the world of fireworks in China. So I got a couple of updates from Spirit of 76 for you. Stay with me here. Right now, as of this recording in mid-September 2024, Spirit of 76 is actually offering exclusive access to dropship Space Ranger firework products for the upcoming New Year's and 2025 4th of July seasons. So Spirit's dropship container promotions are going on right now. And what's awesome is that you can combine Space Ranger items with Sky Bacon, Taco, 76 Show Series on the same container. So for all you retailers out there looking for ways to cut costs on your next seasons, the container program is the biggest cost cutter available, and Spirit is the only place you'll be able to get Space Ranger, Sky Bacon, Taco, and or 76 Show Series on a container. We're really excited to be able to offer that exclusivity and at incredible prices. So please go check out the program and learn more at 76fireworks.com/containers. There you'll find the dropship product catalogs for those brands, and you can apply to receive the order forms so you can estimate your container costs. The current early buy discount for this program ends September 30th, 2024, so don't hesitate. Apply for pricing or chat with your sales rep for the details, and head to 76fireworks.com/containers to get started. Lastly, Sky Wars is nearly upon us. The Spirit of 76 team will be on site at the U.S. Fireworks Championship in Innsbrook, Missouri on September 27th and 28th. And Saturday the 28th is the day of the big show. And we have an awesome deal on pre-orders for pickup at this event. Orders are due Wednesday, September 25th, and you'll get gold pricing with no minimum order. That's normally a $2,000 minimum. There is no minimum order on these pre-orders. And you're skipping all the shipping costs, and we're even going to throw in a free 76 Proline hat with your pre-order. All you have to do is check out at one of our e-commerce websites, shop.76fireworks.com or 76proline.com, and then choose Pickup at Warehouse for the shipping option, and write Skywars in the order notes. And we'll get your fireworks ready for you to pick up at Skywars in Innsbrook, Missouri that weekend. Those details are also on our website. We hope to see you there. Thank you for listening. Until next time, this is BoomCast. Stay green.